And I'm here with Melissa Clark from the New York Times. She's a staff contributor, she's a columnist. Her column is A Good Appetite, and she's written 38 books.
Yeah, give or take a few.
38.
I lost count around 32. I was like, how many did I write?
Oh my gosh. And 12 of them, something like that, a dozen, are with top chefs like Claudia Fleming, Danielle Boulou. That was a good one.
That's a good one.
And her newest book is this beautiful book, good God, beautiful book called Dinner, Changing the Game. I've been cooking out of this book, and let me tell you, you have such a gift for taking things that we're familiar with and then just turning them a little bit so that they're suddenly all new and exciting and lively. And so what are you going to do that to today?
Well, a grain bowl. Grain bowls have become such part of our culture, and they're so wonderful. I mean, I love to come home, especially if I have leftover grains. There's nothing better than just taking your leftover grains and then putting stuff on top, and you have this beautiful, very colorful, very healthful dinner. But I know that, most grain bowls usually we think of grain bowls in an Asian context, right? We think kimchi, and let's add, maybe we're going to add, soy sauce marinated salmon, and that's our frame of reference. And what I did here was I sort of broke apart that mold, and I took one of my favorite salads, Caesar salad, and I used that as the template. So it's like, imagine the dressing of a Caesar salad, but not really, just sort of some of those lemony, garlicky, cheesy components, and then mix it with a grain bowl. So in this case, red quinoa, which we have already cooked. Pretend that you have this left over, or whatever grain you have, brown rice, whatever you've got, it will work. And then I took the perfect spring vegetables that are in season right now for you lucky guys out here in California. You have pea shoots, you have sugar snap peas, which are we just steam these guys. So these have just been steamed. And then we have some beautiful red chard. So red chard, and then this has also just been steamed. So basically, when you get home from work, if you have some leftover grains, or you can cook them, quinoa cooks in 12 minutes or something.
Yeah, really fast. I think this was 10. 10,
and then all you have to do is steam your vegetables and make a little dressing, and that's it. And I'm going to show you how to make the dressing. And it doesn't, you think about it, it doesn't sound like much, but when you put it together, the flavors are so good. And I'll show you in about 3.5 minutes.
I can't wait.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do the lemon trick.
Okay.
So I learned this, so I co-authored a cookbook with Andrew Feinberg and Francine Stevens from Franny's Restaurant in Brooklyn. If you ever get to Brooklyn, don't miss it. And they showed me how the proper way, or one proper way, to deal with a lemon. And I love this method. And can you see what I'm doing? So I cut off the ends, and I've stood the lemon up. I'm cutting it in half, and then I'm going to cut it in half again. So I'm getting these long quarters, and then this is the genius part. You just take your paring knife and you cut out that white pith, you get the seeds, and then this lemon has no seeds so that you can squeeze it. I'll show you. So I keep them, what I do is I take my lemons and I just keep them in a bowl, just like this bowl in the fridge, open. So I'll do this lemon and the juice comes out really easily, and then when I get home from work, I can make a salad dressing in 2 seconds because I have this little bowl of lemons that are all ready to go without the seeds. This one's big, so I'm going to cut it like that. In fact, my daughter can make a salad dressing. She's 8, and she can, because I have these lemons, she can do it really fast because she likes a citronette, and I actually really like the lemon dressing. How do you feel about a lemon dressing, Margo?
I love lemon dressings, and I love this technique too because it's like you're disarming the lemon.
Exactly. We're just going to get rid of all of its defenses, and then we're going to squeeze so much juice out of it. So whenever you make a vinaigrette, you start out with the acid and the salt because you want the acid to break down the salt crystals. So I'm just going to squeeze my lemon right in here. Maybe I'll use 2 for this.
Yeah, it's a really nice technique.
And then I'm going to just add my salt, and then the salt is going to break down. It's going to be nice and smooth. I think people tend to over salt salad dressings when they add the salt at the end because it takes a long time for the salt to dissolve in the oil. And so you taste it and you're like, oh, it needs salt. But actually it doesn't, it just needs time to dissolve. So next time you're doing that, just remember that. And then I have a microplane. You guys have, everyone has this, right? If you don't, buy it or one of these, some kind of grater that gives you a nice fine paste.
Yeah.
This is just a garlic clove. And I'm gonna run it along microplane. And I'm going to get this fantastic garlic paste that's going to go right in the lemon juice with the salt. A great trick here. I'm not letting you get a word in edgewise, am I?
No, I'm spellbound, Melissa, spellbound.
A great trick here is the lemon juice actually tames the raw garlic flavor. It's like, think of it like you're almost doing like a ceviche, but not really. Like you're cooking the garlic just a little bit in the acid of the lemon. So if you put the garlic and the salt in before the oil, you mellow the garlic.
Fascinating.
Isn't that great? Same thing with onions or shallots. Always put it, and if you let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, it gets even milder. I usually let it sit just for a minute or two because I actually like a, garlic punch.
Yeah. And also if you're in a hurry, obviously.
Right. And I'm always in a hurry.
Yeah. Who isn't?
Who isn't?
Yeah.
So
I like the way that you even held the wraps. You held it right on top instead of on a board and then laboriously scraped up the garlic and put it in. Just that little refinement makes it all go easier.
Well, plus then you don't have to scrub garlic off your board. Because you know how garlic, like once you get into your cutting board, and then you cut the strawberries on your cutting board, and you're like, garlic flavored strawberries. Ooh, maybe not. Okay, so I have this, and now I'm going to add my olive oil and my cheese. We have this really nice olive oil here from local. It's local, right?
It's local, Seca Hills from the Kepe Valley. Wonderful.
And I'm just going to add that in. So another trick here is you whisk while you.
Here, I'm going to hold it. Now, of course, I would have put a towel under this, but I did not provide Melissa with a towel, so this is...
Yeah, a towel keeps it steady. Or you can just, you don't even need to do that. Sometimes I do it in a jar and I just shake the heck out of it. Yeah. And then it emulsifies it. And then I'm going to add a lot of this cheese. Now, we're going to talk about the cheese in a second, but... So I have this Pecorino cheese. It's not Pecorino Romano. It's kind of a slightly milder one. You can also use Manchego, just a sheep's milk cheese with some personality, but Pecorino Romano is so salty.
It's very salty and sometimes kind of abrasive, too.
Exactly. It has
stings.
Yes, it stings. Yeah. So this is milder. Or you could use Parmesan, too. Like if we're talking sort of a Caesar salad reference, Parmesan works. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of breaking down the cheese and the dressing. Ooh, sorry. And I'm splashing it all over Margot's hands. So I want chunks of cheese, but I want to break it down a little bit so that, I don't know if you can see, that the dressing is actually getting kind of creamy.
Yeah. That's it. Oh, nice.
And this is so nice with the sugar snap peas. It's such a good combination. You could also add an anchovy to this if you like anchovies as much as I do. I'm not going to do that today, but just keep it in your head as an option. Should we talk about the cheese?
Yes. Here you go. I'll put them in front of you and just set this aside for a minute.
So, Margot and I were talking about this. I wrote the recipe and I called for Pecorino Toscano. So when she went to the store, she got Pecorino Toscano, which is really different from the one that I get. I'm from New York. So my Pecorino, this is like, it's almost like Gouda from Munster. It's like really
malleable.
And it's very soft. And it's very, very mild. It doesn't have any kind of bite. So I wanted a cheese with and then this is, Pecorino Romano, which you guys all know, which is a little too sharp. I wanted this in-between cheese. And this has some sharpness to it. Like I said, think Manchego-ish or Parmesan. And it's really nice. And so we just grated some of that up, and that's what went into the dressing.
Lovely. All right.
Oh, pepper. I almost forgot the pepper in the dressing. So we have a mutual friend who I worked with for a long time named Pamela Mitchell. And she and I worked together in a test kitchen and magazine. This was so long ago. And she used to always say, we'd be tasting the food and I'd be learning from her. And she'd always, look for the flavor of salt. Because that's, your first thing is, how is the salt level? But then she would always look for the pepper level, which I never thought of. And that, is the pepper right? Because pepper, we add salt and pepper and we think about the salt, but we don't think about the pepper.
You're so right. And salt being a mineral and pepper being a spice.
Yes.
They have different characters.
Yeah.
They're not the same, but they each add their own thing.
And they work so well together, which is why we use them together for everything. So.
Right.
Okay, so you want to try this and see if we're all balanced?
Oh, yes, I do.
I didn't measure anything, so, kind of just wing it. So
that's great. So I'm going to use my impeccably clean pinky finger.
Please do. And just tell me how the balance is. Is it good? Does it need anything?
No, I think it's, a little bit more salt. Tiny
so here's the thing. And how's the lemon juice?
Lemon is perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to add the salt, but I'm not going to taste it for
You're
you know,
gonna
a few
wait.
minutes. We're going to wait
Yeah.
and taste it right at the end so the salt has a chance to dissolve. So we're just going to add a little more salt. Whisk it and then let that hang out. Okay. Should we slice the eggs?
Sure. Here.
Clean up
Some of
that. So we've got, okay, so we made our dressing. We have our quinoa. We have our steamed, did I introduce these beautiful, gorgeous watermelon radishes? Look, it looks like a little watermelon. See? Little watermelon wedge.
Yeah.
It's pure. As if you're like, you know those little hamster videos where the hamsters eat all the mini food? You know what I'm talking about? So like this could be like the little hamster eating a little, like pretending it's watermelon. Okay, sorry. I watch way too many.
Clearly.
I love this so much. And this is what a watermelon radish looks like when you buy it, except it has the top. So we cut some off on a mandolin, or thinly slice it, and then we just cut it into wedges.
Yeah.
But isn't it gorgeous? And it's crunchy and
Sweet.
I mean, it's sweet, but it's got a kick. You know, at the
Yeah, it
end.
does. Especially, you know, toward late in the season, it gets a little bit more peppery. But you know, how humble looking is this? You would not suspect that it's that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It just looks like this. It looks like a turnip almost.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have to do? Oh, slice our eggs. So we have some hard-boiled eggs. They're actually, well, let's see how they're cooked. I like it when they're kind of a little soft in the center. These are perfect. These are hard-boiled, so these are just right for, beautiful hard-boiled egg. We're just gonna, you can have them, you can quarter them. We think we'll just have them like that. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. They'll fit nicely in the bowl.
So that's lovely. You could even do them runnier if you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's stove is different too, so you know you kind of have to know your heat and know your BTUs.
Totally, and also know your eggs. Like these eggs are smaller than my eggs.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are a little on the small side today.
Yeah, so you never know. So I always say with hard-boiled eggs, figure out like when you get it perfect, write it down.
Yes.
And then otherwise you're not going to remember. Like, what did I do last time? It was just perfect. So write down. I like to boil them and then shock them in ice water.
Right. Yes. And these were shocked.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Okay. Should we put
Yeah. Do you
put
want
it
to
together?
put it all together? Sure.
Any questions out there? We're here to answer your
Yes.
questions.
You all can, by the way, ask questions of Melissa. Just keep asking questions. She will answer you live right here. And just in case you're tuning in just now, this is Melissa Clark. She's columnist for the New York Times, A Good Appetite, and also stars in a weekly video that's related to the column. And I'm Margot True. I'm the food editor at Sunset Magazine. And she is making a lovely quinoa bowl with spring fresh vegetables and a beautiful egg. And usually, as well as always, with simple recipes like this, the quality of the ingredients really matters.
Yes.
So it's perfect for California because,
yes.
as we know, the ingredients are great here.
Well, to me, this is a very California dish because, well, first of all, you have the gorgeous produce. I think of Caesar salad, and
Yes.
I think of quinoa as being very Californian thing. And grain bowls, too. You guys had grain bowls before we had grain bowls.
Oh, we've been loving our green bowls for, feels like decades.
Yeah, exactly. And grain bowls is kind of a new thing. I mean, not brand new, but only a few years old, maybe a decade old on the East Coast. So to me, it feels very California.
Lovely. Now, Melissa, you've been cooking for the home cook for so long, and you cook so much yourself. One of the questions that's in my mind is, how has your own cooking changed? 38 books.
I know.
You've cooked with these great chefs. Now you're doing this well. You've been doing the column for a while now.
Yeah.
What have you noticed? Little habits, efficiencies?
Total efficiencies. Yeah. Like that little thing with the garlic. Like I just started doing that like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I would grate the garlic onto the cutting board and I'd lift it up and then I just started putting it right on the bowl, like little things. But one thing that I will say is that because I've written so many cookbooks with chefs, every time I write a cookbook with chef, my cooking changes because I'm incorporating or even just reporting on a chef and seeing what they do. And I take all these little nuancey things and I incorporate them because I think a big lesson for me is I was always, when I was a really young cook, just sort of starting out, I thought, okay, there's la technique. There's one technique and you learn it and then you have mastered it, And then cooking with all these different chefs made me realize that there's not. There's a million different ways to do it. There's so many ways to make garlic paste, to chop an onion, to make a vinaigrette. And each way it's like a slight little variation that will give you a different result. And the cool thing is to really understand what those different results are, you know, and to use that in your cooking. And so that's really exciting to me, is like I can make, like, for example, you know when you're sauteing an onion?
Yes.
And you start it out on high heat, and it gets super brown super fast, but it stays kind of crisp.
Right.
And that's, maybe you want that. Maybe you're like doing, for me, lox eggs and onions, or you know, like scrambled eggs with onion. I want I want a little crunchy because the eggs are so soft.
Right, right.
So I want brown and I want crunch. So I do super high heat. And that's one way to do it. But then if you want like super silky onions that are just like jam, then you do low and slow. And you're still like, technically you're caramelizing onions, but you're doing it in two completely different ways. They take different times or different methods, and they give you different results. And I love knowing how to maneuver those differences. And then what I've been doing, you know, since I've been doing my column, I get a lot of reader feedback. Because so at NYT Cooking now we have this interactive website, which is very cool if you haven't gone on.
It's amazing, really.
Yeah, it's really good.
I use it on a daily basis.
Yeah, go to New York Times and, you know, just click on any of food and you'll see a link. And what's so great about it is that there are these notes under, you can have a recipe, and it's like, you know, the comments, except that instead of comments on a recipe, there are notes. And it really encourages people to be constructive and to talk about what they did and what they liked. And I read all of those for my recipes.
Bravo.
Yeah, because I learn. I'm like, oh, this was unclear. This is, how do I make it clearer next time? You know, they didn't, or I, you know, somehow, or this was misunderstood, or people can't get this ingredient. I thought everybody could get, I don't know, quinoa, but maybe people can't.
Right.
And so I learn, and I try to get to take all those comments in and try to be a better recipe writer.
Well,
So
and
that's-
speaking of comments, Melissa, Kendra, who's off camera, is watching for questions,
Oh,
and
good.
she has one for
Oh,
you.
fantastic.
One of our Bay Area readers is wondering what are the best proteins to use in the bowl?
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, so you want to, first of all, you want to use proteins that your family likes and can eat. You know, so if you're vegan, you're not going to be using the egg, and you're not going to be using the fish. You're going to use marinated tofu or tempeh, right? Or I'm a big seitan fan myself, but you know, I know it's not everybody's thing. And if you are, you know, if you have leftover chicken, then you're going to use that because it's in the fridge and it's waiting for you. If you see beautiful fish, I mean, basically the answer is anything goes. You know, there's not a rule. You can do any kind of protein. You just want to make sure that the flavor matches what you're doing. So here, you know, the egg is great, but it's this dressing with the cheese and the lemon, and the olive oil would be fantastic with chicken. It would be great with a mild fish.
Yes.
You know, but maybe you wouldn't want to do barbecued tofu with it because the flavors would interfere.
Or poached shrimp.
Or poached shrimp would be
really
fantastic.
Nice. Peas.
Yeah.
And you know, Melissa, it's so great that you're cooking this because I know you're making 2 bowls, and we're going to sit and pair this with wine.
Oh, that's very exciting.
So
to me.
that's going to be our little finish.
So here's the chard.
Nice, nice. Now, do you like your chard cooked till really silky or with a little chew?
Depends on what I'm using it for. I think this is perfect. This
All
is
right.
like, yeah, this is just right. All right, so now let's do these guys. You can have these or you can leave them whole, depending on how you like to eat them. I like to leave them whole. I mean, sometimes I'll have them.
Expose their pretty little interiors.
Yeah, should we do a couple of them half?
Well, let's do a couple. They look like little necklaces.
They do.
Yeah.
Here, you know what I'll do it so you can see it. I'm going to do it right in front. You know what's cool about this? You can do a few of them at a time. So you just kind of stack them all up. And then I like to do it. So I'm just...
Yeah.
You can also do it another way. If you want to do one at a time, you do it like that. And this is really pretty.
Oh, that's very pretty.
So either way.
Lovely. And then all the peas tumble out.
Yeah, which is nice.
Dynamic.
Okay, then we have the radishes. Which radishes are great for texture. So another thing you're looking for when you make a green bowl is you want different textures because it's not just about flavor.
And color, too.
And
Look
color,
at all those
too.
colors.
And we're going to nestle some eggs in.
Oh.
And pea shoots, because we've got peas. If you can't find pea shoots, you could use arugula or any green. Any green is going to work here.
It's a little tenderness.
Just kind of put them right on top. And then the quinoa is almost hiding. The quinoa is like this little surprise. And then,
Exactly.
so I don't know if you guys noticed, I put some dressing on the quinoa already because you want that to be well seasoned. So some dressing should go there.
Very nice.
And then maybe just a little more cheese on that.
Sure.
And should we drizzle? Oh yeah.
Right over there.
You do the pepper.
All right.
And I think we're good.
So beautiful. Wow. You know, and oh gosh, it smells fantastic. The dressing just wafting up. Mm. Okay, now let me pour some wine.
Okay. And the wine, you say that your wine director picked out special wines for us?
Yes, she did. Sarah Schneider, who's our wine angel. Love the sound of those glasses.
I know. Doesn't it sounds like a party at Sunset Nights.
So she's
wait,
picked
there's
out.
a question.
Oh, a question. Yes, please.
Great. Another one of our readers is wondering how much garlic should you use and how thick should the garlic paste be?
So in terms of, it should be pretty, you know, if you do it, if you grate it, you're going to get basically like a puree. So you really do want it pretty fine because you don't want to crunch down on a piece of garlic. You want it to be very soft. And I used 1 fat clove. You could use a little more, a little less. And of course the recipe is in, should we show them?
Yes, let's show the
page.
actual recipe. Yes, since we've tabbed it.
So this is what it looks like in the
food stylist mind.
food stylist mind, and that you can see mine's a little more heaped up, but that's how really you should eat it this way. But this is prettier.
Yeah.
And here's the recipe.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. And you know, one of the things I noticed about your book, Melissa, that I really want people to take away is its serenity. It's exciting to read and cook from. I've been cooking from it. I made your chicken with anchovies and capers the other day.
So
fabulous. So easy too, but it just was, you know, the little bit of chili added to that just
and
perked everything up. And the lemon was great. But one thing I noticed about your book versus the many other dinner books that are out there, especially weeknight books, is that yours does not start out by telling people cram it with steps and strategies and tips, and it's a much more serene experience. And I wondered if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm not a good strategizer. Like, I'm very last minute. In fact, right before I got here, I was trying to figure out tomorrow, and it's like I just can't think ahead. I'm just very last minute.
Me too, actually.
But I'm good at thinking on my feet, which is the way I compensate. So this book doesn't have a lot of strategies because I don't actually have a lot of strategies, but what it does have is really solid recipes that are interesting, that you haven't seen before, and that are easy and pretty fast. And that, I think, so you can just pick up stuff on your way home from work and you can make dinner and it's going to be ready in 45 minutes or less, for the most part, not every recipe. And the one strategy that I will give you that I write about in here is to have a good pantry. I mean, you've heard this before, and this is just essential. Just keep certain things in your pantry, and I give a list in the book of what you should have. You know, spices, chili flakes, good olive oil. You should always have lemons. You should have some kind of Parmesan cheese in your fridge if you like that. Good, interesting vinegars. I personally love pomegranate molasses. I tell people they should buy that because a jar is like $5. It will last forever in your pantry, and it adds this fruity, tart, delicious, flavor to things. So stock your pantry, and then no matter what you bring home, you go and you buy a chicken or you buy some shrimp and you bring it home, and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. You'll find a recipe because you've got your pantry stocked. You have it's like being an artist. You've got your colors and your flavors, and then you're just buying the main ingredient, and you can do whatever you want. Or you have pasta in the cabinet, or you have dried beans, or you have something that you can make a meal. So other than that, then you can just wing it. And it works. It really works.
That's exactly what I did with the chicken. I opened the book and I said, well, I happen to have anchovies and capers, and
your pantry.
What from Melissa's book. And, glory be, there it was. And I spotted 3 other recipes I could have made without going to the store.
Yes, because you probably had chicken in your freezer, right?
I did.
Exactly.
I did.
Have some chicken in your freezer. If you eat chicken, shall we?
Yes.
Shall we taste?
Let us taste.
Shall we cheers? Shall we?
Let's cheer.
Thank you for
Melissa,
having me.
thank you for coming.
This is so delightful.
Real nice. Melissa and I have known each other a long time.
Yeah. Can you tell? When Margot lived in New York, we used to pal around.
We did indeed, and now it's just fun.
And now you're here.
To do it
and I get to
again.
come and visit. By
Yes.
the way, I really love California, and everyone who lives here, you're extremely lucky. So that's all I'm going to say. All of the West Coast. I love Oregon. I love it all.
Thank
Washington, you
Melissa.
too.
Yes, we love the West too. We know we're really lucky to live here.
Mm-hmm.
So. Oh my God.
It's really
This
fresh
is
tasting.
really good. The lemon just perks it all up. You like lemon. You appreciate the power of lemon.
The biggest. Okay, so I have my mother has a lemon tree in Brooklyn. It's really sad. Sometimes we get like, once we got 6 lemons and we were all jumping for joy. Usually we get like 1. I know everyone out here has a lemon tree. I know.
That is hilarious.
Okay, but we love lemon. We're lemon heads.
Well, and the whole Meyer lemon.
Yeah, she has a Meyer lemon tree. Yeah.
No, she does. Well, that's good because no one can live without a Meyer lemon tree. That's just the best thing. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
A delight, and I've loved chatting with you and catching up with what you're doing. And go to NYT Cooking and tune in to the site to see the videos that Melissa's produced, scads of them, and they're fabulous. And of course, her column is the best. Solid recipes that are really interesting, totally doable. And I'm a huge fan of this. All right.
Okay, bye Facebook.
Bye Facebook. Thanks for joining us.